Okay, so today's session is about animation and about timer control. So how can we use timer controls? Timer control is really great. It not only helps us in doing animations, but also helps us in doing certain tasks. So for example, one of the client had a request that they never want to see a database refresh, or they don't want a button where they want to go and refresh the data, right? Because say sometimes the app has been used among organization, and say I'm working on an opportunity and I updated certain fields. Now Sudhakar wants to see that data. He doesn't have to click the refresh button. That's what the client requirement was, because see, the app is working, everything is working locally, right? And then it sends the data to CRM. The CRM gets the data, but the app is not refreshed until unless you refresh the data source, right? We looked at one of the refresh function that refreshes the data source. So that has to be explicitly called, so that CRM goes and sees, it uses change tracking in the backend and then goes and pulls the new data and then refreshes the data locally. So the requirement was that client does not want any button. So we use timer, and it's really great. We use timer to refresh the data, and because it's out of the box with CDS connector, what the Power App does is it actually refreshes and uses change tracking. So if there is no changes, then the refresh is pretty quick. If there are lot of changes, then uh, you see those 4 or 5 dots on the top. But because it is lazy loading, that's fine, right? So it's really nice way of doing a lot of things using timer. It's really powerful. Okay, so one of the use case, and so what I have here is, I'm gonna delete this for now. So what I have here is, I'm gonna show you a basic um, animation. So what the idea is that I would have, like how CRM has that panel, right? When you go to CRM and then you click on quick create, you get that panel on the right hand side that comes out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same look and feel, but the panel that would come out from the right hand side, it would be animated. And then on the button click, it would close. On the button click, it would open. So something like that. Okay, that's what I'm gonna try today. So here, as you can see, I have already added a timer, and this timer. So how do you add this timer? So timer is added through this input control, and input control has the timer input control. Now this timer, you don't have to show it to the user. So initially when you're designing it, keep it on, but then you can turn it off and then say visible to not, it's not visible. So what I would recommend is when you're developing something with animation, make sure it is turned on so that you can see what the timer is. Then the timer has duration. So it's in milliseconds, as you might have used the timer control in the Windows form, similar thing. It's on milliseconds. So you can change this as per your needs. Then there's a repeat. So repeat is when the timer ends itself, it repeats itself. Then there's auto start. So what is auto start? So if I have auto start switched off, then I have to click on the timer to start it. Then if I keep as auto start and I run this app, it will start automatically. So that's it, right? Pretty simple. Then you have auto pause. So auto pause is something when you are, like, you have screen 1 and screen 2. Now if I go from screen 1 to screen 2, then it will, the timer on screen 1 will pause. Okay, so depending on what kind of animations or what kind of situation or scenarios you're building, it might be useful. Like if you want to capture the amount of time someone is on the screen, then auto pause is really useful, right? So you want to see how much time that person was on that particular screen. Then there's a lot of other styling properties, but because I'm going to use my timer in such a way that I'm going to hide it, right? I don't care about the styling, but you can, it's a normal regular styling that buttons or labels have. Okay, so we are not going to go through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a rectangle. And I'm going to make this rectangle occupy the entire screen. So how do I do that? So first thing is I'm going to put it on the 0x and 0y. Then my width is going to be, let's make it responsive. So you guys help me out with the functions today. So because this is a last session, I'm hoping that you guys would be comfortable enough to tell me what I should write here. So who wants to go first? Sudhakar? I want this rectangle to occupy the entire screen. So what should I write here? Try.
Just opening notes I have taken.
Uh,
Is there like a
Screen 1 dot width.
Yes.
okay?
See, Vikram is paying attention. Screen 1 dot width, and then my height would be. Now, Sudhakar, can you tell now?
Screen 1 dot height.
Yes. Screen 1 dot height. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Now I want my timer to be on the top, so I'm gonna put this. Okay, and then I'm gonna change this color to say gray. Okay, now I'm gonna add one more rectangle. And then I'm gonna put this rectangle over here. Okay, same width. Width I'm gonna let it be. I don't want width to be anything right now. And then this would be screen 1 dot height. Okay, and then I want this its width to be this much. Okay, so we'll talk about the width, but now you got the idea, right? Now this particular rectangle should go um, like this, and then the ultimate goal is it would come out like this. Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Based on my notes, like what I have, so would you be adding this to a group so that you can give same color for both these controls?
So the color I'm gonna keep it separate, but yeah, if you want to put them in a group, you can.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
So if you want to make, so also I have notes that, so if you want to make it like the whole screen, would you not give a number and just put it scale to fit for the rectangle?
Yes. No, there is no scale to fit as such. So you have to give like height and width. So that's what we changed. So we changed the width to be screen one's width, right? So the screen one is your screen. So screen one's width is it would occupy entire width of the screen. And then we change the height to say, okay, occupy the entire height of the screen as well. So you know how in Windows.form we have doc or doc fill the form, or doc on the top, doc on the left, doc on the right. That kind of functionality we still don't have in this. So we have to control everything through X, Y, and height and width. Okay. Okay. So this rectangle 2, what we're going to do is it's going to be like this initially, and then it's going to come out like this. Okay. So for that, we're going to use timer. So timer, what we're going to do is, and now when we are working on a timer, what I really like to do, one more thing is I like to put some labels. Right. So this label is going to represent. So what I do is I'm going to call this as overlay. Okay. So this is going to be a rectangle background. And then this is going to be a rectangle overlay. Right. It's gonna appear as an overlay. And this rectangle label is going to represent if it's an overlay or not. Overlay display. It's going to capture some overlay display. Then my other rectangle, I'm gonna capture a few of this things. So I'm gonna put the labels as I go. So to show this overlay, I'm gonna have a variable created. Okay, so I'm gonna create a variable on the app. How do I create a variable? I need to create a global variable. How would I create a global variable? Anyone? I'm going to use set. Okay, set is to set
Mhm.
a global variable. Okay, I'm going to call it as show overlay, and then the default value will be false. And then this variable show overlay, I'm going to assign it to this my overlay rectangle visible property. So based on that variable's true or false, the overlay is going to be shown or be hidden. That's what I'm going to try. So I'm going to change the visible property from true to false. So a true to be that show overlay um, variable, right? So now it got hidden because we have hard coded the value as false on the show overlay. Okay. Now on this label, we're going to display whether show overlay is true or false so that we can track it later on. Yeah. Now we're going to add a button. And then this button is going to say show overlay. Okay. And this text I'm going to also do is if show overlay, then display show overlay, else display hide overlay. Oh, I did the opposite. Did you understood what I did here? So if the show overlay is false, then show the button as show overlay, or else show the button as hide overlay. Okay, so now, and then on this button, what we would do is we would change the value of the show overlay variable from whatever it is to, I mean, toggle it, right? So on select, what I will do is I will say set show overlay, and then to toggle the value of a boolean variable, it's very easy. So what you do is you set the variable, use the set command, then give the variable name, and then say negative of whatever the show overlay is. Simple. That would toggle the value. So if it is true, then it will set false. If it is false, it will set true. So I don't have to write a complex logic to do that. Okay. So now let's run this. We have not added any animation. We are just simply going with the whatever things we have looked initially. So let's just design this a little better. Okay, so I'm gonna click on show overlay. It's gonna show. Now the text changed to hide overlay, right? Now I'm gonna click on this and then it hides the overlay. Cool. And then you can see the text is also changing here. So the overlay display is currently false. Now it changes to true, changes to false. Simple. Any questions so far? All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we are also going to create one more variable. Now that variable is gonna control the start timer of the so this is not going to be auto start, right? So this is going to be there's a it's going to be a variable like how we did for visible, and then we are going to toggle this based on that variable. So the reason why we want to do that is we want our timer to start when the button is getting clicked. Okay, so let's do that. So in the app, say set, and then we would call it as start timer, and then the value would be initially it would be false. Okay. And then on the button click, we want it to be true. The same thing, we want it to be so here what I want is I want my value to be always set to true. Okay, because I don't want it to be, I don't want it to toggle because it's a timer. I always want it to start. Okay, so let's see. So we have set it to false. On the button click, we are setting it to true. Okay, now we have not assigned the timer. We have not assigned that value here. Now let me just hard code it to say true. Now when I run this, see, it started automatically, right? The timer started automatically. Now let's go ahead and then change this auto start and then assign it to show. Oh, why is it not showing? Oh, so not sure.
Timer 2.
Start timer. Sorry, I was using the wrong.
Timer 2.
Oh, start timer. We are setting it to a variable.
Okay.
Okay. So now what would happen is when I run this, it's not starting. When I click on the button, it should start. See, it started, right? Now if I click again, it is still started. So we'll have to fix that later on. So right now we'll just keep it as is. So now we made all our changes. So we did the overlay, then we started the timer on button click. Everything is ready. Now on the timer start, what we're gonna do is we are gonna, the timer has two properties. Timer has on timer start and then on timer end. Depending on what you're doing, you could put logic on both. So what I want in my on timer start is, first of all, I want my timer to have value of, hold on, I forgot what the value should be. The timer. Yeah, it should be. So I want my value to be 2000. Okay. And then what I want is, I want my rectangles X to be of this overlay. I want my rectangles on the timer start. I want it to be the X should be somewhere over here. So to make that happen on the timer start, and this might get little complicated, so follow with me, okay, and make notes if you want. So I'm going to do rectangle overlay dot X is gonna be timer 2 dot value divided by 1000. What does this mean is, so timer 2 value is 2000. Okay, so 2000 divided by 100, how much would that be? 200, right? So my on timer start, my rectangle overlay X would be timer to value divided by 100, which would start at 200. But my value is going to get decreased, right? The timer to value is going to get decreased because whenever you start the time, the duration keeps on decreasing. That the time you see on the text increases, but the duration actually gets decreases. So the value is going to get decreased from 2000 to 1999, then 1998, and so on. So when that happens, the division by 100 also keeps on decreasing. That means your X is shifting. Your X is shifting from this and it goes here.
So the duration you give is like seconds?
It's in milliseconds.
Milliseconds, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the timer will totally run for like 2000 is how much, like some 30 minutes, few minutes?
Yeah, 200. Yeah, 2000 is like for
30 minutes, I believe.
yeah, no, not 30
seconds,
minutes. No.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, correct.
Not even 2
2
seconds.
seconds or 20 seconds?
2 seconds. 2000 is 2 seconds. It's milliseconds, right? So divided by 100. Oh, wait. No. 2, yeah, divided by 1000 milliseconds. So 2 seconds. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Oh, why did it start automatically? Yeah, see, it's 2 seconds over here. You can see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we do the set timeout in thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now one thing is we want to show the overlay, but we started the timer here. Okay, so start timer here. Now, what we want is we want our X because we want to move the X as well, right? We want to move the rectangle's X as well. So we're gonna move the rectangle X and then say if the show overlay, then now I'm using the screen size is 1366, right? Maximum width is 1366. So I'm going to say 1366. Okay. Minus rectangle overlay dot width. Okay, rectangle overlay dot width. And what I'm going to say is whenever you want to do any animation, this is the common property that you have to use. You have to use timer to dot value divided by timer to dot duration. Okay, duration is constant, value decreases. As I said, value decreases, but the duration is whatever you're setting. So duration would always be 2000 in our case. So you're just decreasing the value. So that means that 2000 by 2000 is 1, right? So that means the rectangle's width would be whatever it is. Then when the value decreases, the calculation also decreases. So it would be like 0.1, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, and it keeps on decreasing. So once it becomes 0, then your width becomes 0. That means you're now your X is now 1366, which will be the end. I'll show you why 1366. I've put that in once we complete this formula. Okay. Then I would say my rectangle overlay dot width is timer 2 dot, again same value duration, value divided by duration, plus 500. I'll show you why I'm saying all this stuff. Okay, and that's it. So see where my rectangle went. Now this rectangle is actually outside. So if I play this, oh, it actually played the auto. This should not be auto start. Why is this auto start? Start timer. Start timer. Oh, that's why, because okay. Yeah, it should not. So see, you're not able to see the rectangle because rectangle is outside of the screen. So you can actually go outside of the screen. Oh, and I've hidden the overlay, so that's why. But the rectangle is actually outside of the screen and hidden. So what happens is when you click the button, then it will start appearing. And because the value of the X is decreasing, it keeps on increasing from here. Okay, so let's see. Show overlay, and there you go. And hide overlay. Now for hide, we have not decreased the value, so we still have to work on that. But basically, I just wanted to do this on show overlay. Now see here what happens. It's not working anymore because the timer is not getting reset. Right? So your timer should get reset. So what you want to do is on your button click, when you set the timer as true, after the show overlay is done, then you set your timer back to false. So start timer to false.
Denise, just to while you're doing, just relate it with some real-time scenario, like where have we can you tell me a scenario where in the real time this was you use this, or this would be really helpful?
So this is actually coming from a real-time scenario only.
You want to show
I
progress
developed
bar or
this. I
something?
developed this for a client, and then that's when I wanted to present this as a topic as well. That what you
Okay.
could do with timer.
Okay, what was the requirement?
So, and this is like a only Power App kind of project that we are doing for one of
Okay.
the client. You already know what project it would be,
Okay.
but the thing is we are creating a Power App, and then they wanted an overlay. Like they don't want, normally what you might have seen is people go what we have done here, right? We are going from screen 1 to screen 2,
Yeah.
right? And then
Okay.
we are showing this.
Yeah.
They didn't wanted this. They didn't wanted screen 1, screen 2. They didn't wanted this kind of flow because they said they said that this kind of flow is very old, and with
Oh.
new apps they wanted some new look and feel, a new UX, so that it becomes appealing for the users that are going to use it. The users are going to be sales users. So sales users wanted something that is really funky, right? So so we thought of, okay, we can we can show an overlay. So I showed them how we can show an overlay, but the way it was shown was also like it was good, but after adding the animation, they were like, oh, wow, this is really great. Now this looks like an app and I would use this. That's what they said.
Got it.
No, still, sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm not getting it. So, so the overlay helped them to navigate from screen to screen.
Yes. Yeah. So like they had a button, like they had several buttons over here. So when they click on, and the buttons are not looking like a button. We changed the button to look like something else. You know, it's
Uh,
also it looks very fancy. So you click those buttons, and those buttons present like a email preview or a PDF preview. So that's what those buttons were doing. So you click on those buttons, and then the PDF preview would pop up from that with the animated slide, and then it would show the PDF preview. The email preview would show up with the email, like it would show up the email preview, but also show the context associated with those emails as well. So there was a lot of things happening on the overlay. But yeah, as a screen two, we were showing, instead of showing screen two, we were showing it on one screen. So the entire app is based on one screen, and it is very complex app that we have created.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. Now it
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. Because no. Yeah. In dynamic theorem, we've never thought about anything like this. So I was able to
right.
not able to relate how somebody would be able to use this. Okay. Now it
Right,
makes
and
sense.
not only that, like basic functionalities, like I said, right, the timer can also be not only used to do animations, but also to refresh data or reset something after some period of time, right? Or even capture the amount of time any user is on one single screen. And then you can actually connect your Canvas app to application insights and then send the data to application insights. So now when you send the data to application insights, you have a dashboard. Then that dashboard can present you with a statistic saying, okay, XYZ person did not even logged into the system, or uh, ABC person was sitting on one screen idle for 10 hours. What is he doing? Right? This
Mhm.
kind of insights can be available using the timer because you're capturing everything from the timer, right? So, and animations do not just like, don't think of animations from this perspective as well. Like, I was actually going to show other example, uh, and which is like a GIF images. Normally, if we are showing any loading signs, because if you are loading huge amount of data, you want some loading sign, you want to indicate user that something is happening, or you're doing something, some processing, and you're waiting for that processing to complete. You want some kind of indication to be shown to the user. So you could either use a GIF image, but why use GIF image when the app is doing that job for you? So what you could do is you could input any image. So I was actually going to show that, but let's finish this first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You can proceed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So let's see now, and there you go. Okay. So now it closes and then it goes back again. So the timer is getting reset now. See, that timer is getting reset. Yeah. And there you go. So now the only issue with this is because the timer is reset, its value, you see what happens? It starts from the center somewhere because the value is not correct. So the other example that I wanted to show was, it's at another screen, is with the image. So let us add an image.
Uh, Danish, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, a couple of them. Can we use a timer, like as we said, to see if the user is like how long the user is on one page? Can we use it for a couple, like how, like if the user is on 3 or 4 pages, toggling between the pages, can it be used for multiple pages? In the sense like how long he's been on one page and how long he's been on the other page.
So so timers are screen based timers. So as I told, right, you can have auto pause and auto restart, auto start. All these two functions are really great. So auto pause, what happens is if I add, let me add timer on the other screen as well. Okay, and let's put auto pause here. Okay, this is 60 seconds, and then let's do that also 60 seconds. So, okay, and then now let's run this. So now yeah, this is started, and see how slowly it's coming out. So now we are at say 10 seconds. Oh, there is no way I can go to the next screen. Okay, hold on. Let me put a button to go to the next screen. Next screen on select. Okay, how can I go to next screen? Quickly tell me. Navigate. Okay, navigate screen 2. Now I'm on screen 2. I want to go back to screen 1. How do I do that? Tell me a function quickly. Come on. Come on, guys.
Same navigate.
Nope. Use something called as back.
Back.
Yeah, back is where in browser you have back button, right? It goes back to where you came from. The same thing is with back. You can use navigate if you want to use navigate, but then sometimes you navigate for 3-4 screens and then you want to go back, right? In a cell phone app, in a browser, sorry, in an app in phone, when you go from one screen to second, second to third, third to fourth, you want to go from fourth screen to third screen, not fourth screen to first screen, right? Or sometimes you skip and go from second to fourth, then you want to go back from fourth to second again. So that's when the back helps you. So let's run this now. So let's start this. Okay. So 10 seconds and we'll move to the next screen. So 10 seconds, let's move to the next screen. Next screen, let's start the timer here. And let's go beyond 10, like let's go till 12, go back. See, this is still here. Okay. If I go to the next screen, this is still on 12. This is on 11. You're getting the point? Every screen has its own timer and its own value. And then you can use this pausing functionality to actually pause the timer, capture it, and then send it to the app insights. Did that answer your question, Srini?
Yes.
Okay, so coming back to the screen, we have this. So okay, so now what we want to do is we want to look at some animations around images. So this would be quick. So images by itself has a properties called as rotation. So image can be rotated. So let me add an image here first. Image, add a file. So I've downloaded an image of plane, right? Because it is easy to show you how it can rotate. When I go to rotate, okay, image rotation, it has 4 options, rotate 180, 270, 90, and then none. None means rotate to 0 is what none means. So if I say 270, see it rotates itself. Rotate to 90, then it rotates itself, right? So now imagine that with a timer. Okay, now we're going to make the plane fly. Let's not rotate the image first. So let's make it fly first, right? So let's keep it here. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is on the button. Yeah. No, not auto start. We'll have to use the same concept. So tell me, let's use the same variables, shall we? So start timer. Start timer is on the auto start. Autopause will remove it. And then we'll use this to start a timer. Set start timer. True. Okay, and then what we are going to do is on the button click, we are also going to make we are going to use some functions here. So we're going to make position X is going to be a variable. So we're going to set a variable here as well. Set plane X is say 30. Okay. And then in Y This is gonna be plain plus plain. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do on wait, I forgot what. It doesn't work. We have to put this on the yeah, because I forgot to put this on here. So this would become in X. This would become, oh, sorry. I did that on the button, but I have to do it on the image. So plain X, plain Y. Okay, well, that doesn't look good. Let's move everything here. Okay, so it did move. It moved down. So rotate. Okay, good. Now what we want is we want our missing something somewhere. Forgot. Select start timer. Yeah, this we want it to be timer 3 dot value divided by timer 3 dot duration. Okay, and then set timer, and then y would increase based on the x. X would change. No, y to change. Am I missing something? On start. Let's see. Yeah, see this things that I was doing just after the call, so I forgot what I actually did. Um, it should be on timer end. Let's put it on timer end. And then let's reduce the timer to, it's too big. 50. There you go. So it's not repeating itself. That's why the timer is not repeating itself. Repeat. Yeah, there you go. Okay, it never came back.
It went down.
Yeah, it went down, it never came back. So for that, to fix that, image is see it went here, plain wire. Same thing, to reset it, we'll have to reset. Not reset itself.
We need to take it back, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
Can
So
we use rotate 90?
so we are not rotating it.
I'm
So
going to
we are
say to
just,
get the plane back.
yeah, we are just trying to get the plane back. Oh, there you go. Okay, just click. So there you go. So these are the
yeah,
kind of,
yeah, got it.
yeah. So now, but then we want our plane to come back. So how do you do that? So to make that happen, you can actually set like a function, like formula that if it is greater than, so here you can write if plane X or plane Y is greater than the width is 700. So if it goes above 700, then the Y should be back to 0, or it should be plane Y or plane X. So if you do that, uh, if
You need to you
plane
need to close it.
X, yeah. So see, now it repeats itself.
Yep.
So same thing you could do with rotation as well. So, but for rotation, you need to do hard coding. So you need a switch case statement for doing the rotation. Okay, like
Just
Mhm.
a general question. The language we are using there, what it is called?
uh, it's Excel based formulas is what it's called. They have not given any name,
Yeah,
but it
because
is more than
in in WCF applications also we use same kind of coding. I use same kind of coding.
in WCF or WWF you're talking about.
Sorry, it's WPF.
Oh, WPF, XAML.
WPF. Yeah, XAML.
Yeah, XAML
They
is little
because
different, right? XAML
I
has you can write code in XAML. Here
yeah and
you're all
yeah
it's all Excel based formulas.
yeah. I also work in that BCPL language. It's also quite similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's before C. Before C, there was a language BCPL.
Mm,
In that, also we have same kind of coding like goes
right.
on, but it was
Yes.
sequential, so that's okay.
This is also sequential.
Yeah,
So
technically it's sequential. You just write set, then in between somewhere if else statement.
yeah, so here if a statement is executing here, it would
Mhm.
not go to the next statement unless and until this statement is completed. It's
Is there
sequential.
go to here?
There's no go to here. No.
Means okay,
Yeah, there's no go to,
go
unfortunately.
to or
Yeah,
exit,
yeah.
exit.
No, no exit, no. So here's one thing, and this is a real case where we actually use it. Um, and this is not related to animation, but I just wanted to let you guys know is, say you wanted to call a flow. We looked at flow the other day, right? We called a flow um, from the Power App. Now, when we call the flow, did we have that flow in this? I think so we did. It's called Power Automate here now. No. So what what you could do is, I'm gonna write one more just example. If okay, if you're calling flow, so say I'm calling a flow, so flow dot run, and then I'm gonna run that flow. But what you could do is in flow, there's when you do a dot after run, you get a variable called as status. Okay. And then you can use, and the status is a Boolean variable, whether the flow execution was successful or whether there was a failure. If it's an instant flow, you can capture that. And then based on that, if it was a success, you can show a success message or a failure message. So what happens is this becomes a synchronous flow. This flow execution becomes synchronous. Otherwise, if you just call flow.run, if you call it like this instead of calling it in a if statement, then this is asynchronous. So what Power Apps would do is Power Apps would call flow, and it would not wait for its response, and it would go ahead and do the do other processing or complete the processing. But then if you're writing it in the if statement, it will wait until it receives the status and then execute the if or else and then move forward. So you have to also think from that perspective whenever you're thinking of making something asynchronous or making something synchronous. Okay, this is very useful because sometimes when user clicks, they want some kind of feedback, whether it was a successful completion of some activity or whether it failed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Got it.
Any other questions?
No.
Not related to animation, but anything else that we have been through?
That's the nothing. I'm a little bit curious about flow. I don't have much knowledge. Can you take a session on that?
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, so I'm gonna change. So Srini also gave some pointers, Sudhakar, and you and
Yeah,
everyone else
miss.
also gave
Yeah,
some
miss.
pointers, right? So what I'm thinking is next sessions, maybe we'll mix and match, right? Do
Yeah,
some
that will
sessions.
work. Miss, do something. Means like CRM, based on CRM only. Means how to create a flow, do
Mhm.
some action.
Let's make these sessions interactive rather than me showing you something. You guys come up and then ask me, okay, I can share the knowledge, what's new, what's upcoming, and then all those stuff. What we could have is instead of having sessions, we could actually have either one-on-one discussions about what's coming up new, or I can have this kind of sessions where we can discuss what's new, what you should be learning, what you should be focusing on, and along with that, you can also ask questions of what what's been going on, what would you like to see, and then I can show you on that session
Okay.
itself.
See, in next session, what I wanna do is like just a regular flow on update of some record in CRM. I wanna update child record or something, or I wanna update some value on the parent from flow
Okay.
by using yeah. Or recently, I have been, uh, but that will be quite big, too much big thing to do. Recently, I have came across one situation where there is a text field, a multi-line text field. In that, I have URLs.
Hmm.
Yeah, uh, U- the URL stores separated by semicolon or something. I want to read that field on, say, suppose on update of account, read the values in that field, and whatever URLs are there, I want to actually those URLs are from on, you can say URLs are from SharePoint.
So you
I
want to
want to
parse
down,
that comma separated values into an array,
yeah, parse it into array, and then I want to write a logic that download that file,
right? So
all those
so
files, and
parse it.
say
Yeah, so
and then
parse that
send the email.
parse that data into an array, then do a loop, and then based on the data that you're looping through, then look at the URL, download the file, and then send an email.
Yep, something like that.
Okay.
Yep, exactly right, like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe you can give initially you can give overview about flow,
Yes.
means how you
So
can connect,
So
how
yeah,
loops are used.
so bring this kind of questions, and then we can. So now what I'm hearing from you is the difficulty that you're having is parsing out the comma separated values. Once we parse out the comma separated values, then everything else you might be able to do. So what I would be focusing on is how can we parse out the comma separated values in flow. That's what I can
And
see in the session.
okay, yep, and that's it. And maybe before that, on a overview session, that how flows work, what is in the flow, and a simple example like on update of phone number on contact, I wanna update phone number on the account, same.
Right.
So just how that's going to work. So that basic session, and then after we can go